Now, just ahead on First Look Asia, with more than 100 events happening at this year's Singapore Art Week, it can be a challenge deciding what to check out. We'll get some help with that right after the break.
Welcome back to First Look Asia. Over 100 events over 9 days, more than enough to whet your creative appetite at the ongoing Singapore Art Week.
First Look Asia spoke to the people behind the event and sussed out some of the best highlights.
Photos of the rich and famous, preserved from the camera of a pop art icon. Andy Warhol Social Circus presents a rare collection of the artist's Polaroids for the first time in Asia. Collector Ryan Su gives us a snapshot of the exhibit.
In Andy Warhol's Social Circus, you will see a range of fashion designers, artists and celebrities of the day in the 70s and 80s in New York. The big names you see in this exhibition are Bianca Jagger, Andy Warhol himself. I mean, these are all big names. These celebrities, when they wanted a picture of themselves, would pay Andy Warhol $25,000 US dollars to do one shot, which would be created into one canvas. And this was a huge amount of money because the rent for his studio at that time was only $100. We've recreated Andy Warhol's studio with the foil walls and silver everywhere, and we recreated his exact sofa in his studio where everyone gathered around. His real sofa was actually stolen, so there's no way we could have gotten the real one, but this, I believe, is a good substitute.
It may be an interesting peek into Andy Warhol's life in Social Circus, but how is it relevant to the 21st century?
These Polaroids are extremely relevant today, and in today's times of selfies and of self-aggrandization and narcissism, they're extremely relevant because some people have called this the first Instagram account. And these were Warhol's social connections 30 or 40 years ago. And Kim Ong, the curator of this show, wants you to look at your own social connections and see where they would be in 30 or 40 years.
And it was also over 30 years ago that this evocative image appeared on the cover of National Geographic magazine. The world-famous Afghan girl photo is on display, along with other stunning shots at Steve McCurry, the iconic photographs. We spoke with the award-winning photojournalist about his favorites at the exhibit.
There's two pictures which are really dear to my heart in this exhibition. One is of a dust storm, pre-monsoon, of women in the desert. There's this wind with this terrible dust coming through, and they're huddled together trying to protect themselves from the wind and the dust. And they got together and they were singing, I guess praying for rain, because there had been a drought in that part of India. So it's full of emotion, full of drama. The other picture, which I've always felt was one of my best, it's in the flooded city of Porbandar in Gujarat. And the street was flooded just about up to my waist. And there was this little dog trying to get back into the house. I watched this scene unfold. The dog must have wanted to go out and play in the street. So they opened the door, the dog went out, and then they shut the door. And the dog realized that, oh my God, the street's flooded. There's no place to go. He's stuck on this little ledge of concrete, and kind of petrified, terrified that, you know, how am I going to get back in? So he's looking up at the door, hoping and praying that somebody will, you know. So eventually they opened the door. It was kind of a joke, and the dog went back inside.
Capturing striking scenes from all across Asia. What is it about this part of the world that captures his imagination?
There's no place in the world that has the depth of culture than Asia. I mean, Asia has so many different religions, there's so much incredible landscape, it's an ancient land. It's so rich and it's so much depth. So, I mean, this is where the action is for me. This is where I want to be, and this is where I want to continue to travel to.
And it's certainly breathtaking traveling around Asia through Steve McCurry's lens.
That is breathtaking indeed. And those were just two of the many exhibits on display.
So here to help us to navigate this very jam-packed art calendar is Loh Eng Tiong, Director of Visual Arts Sector Development at the National Arts Council. Hello, good morning. Thanks for joining us. So we're midway through Singapore Art Week, just about 4 days to go. How's the response so far?
Well, the Art Week is off to a good start. The response has been very positive and encouraging from the public. That can be seen from the attendance at the events that have already started from Saturday. For example, the Aliwal Urban Art Festival. It's a huge turnout. People are queuing up to see the exhibition. There's artwork made out of skateboards, and music performance has a good turnout as well. And as also some of the other shows that open at Gillman Barracks. For example, the Steve McCurry show that you just watched, and the Andy Warhol Social Circus. On the opening night was huge turnout, crowded. So we are very encouraged. And even on our Facebook, we just started with our 2 weeks and we have close to 10,000 likes. Wow. So we are very happy and we hope more people will come to Art Week.
Well, you're still talking about over 100 events. So, you know, there's so much of variety, there's so much of scope, there's so much of depth. Can you just take us through some of the key, the most salient parts of the program?
Wow, yes, we have that many events in the Singapore Art Week, and that's because we want Art Week, we hope Art Week to have something for everyone. And so we have to cater to a wide spectrum of interests, obviously. So there are a lot of diversities in terms of the art forms and also the types of events to choose from. But essentially, there are these broad categories. There are the major art fairs. We have the galleries and museums exhibitions opening. Then we have a huge display of public artwork this time round. And then, of course, you have the art talks, forums, symposiums, and film screenings, as well as lifestyle events.
Goodness, so many things.
Yes, so it depends on the individual preferences. No? Some people would like to catch as many as possible, while others will go for a specific event. But the first thing I may say is just to pick up a guide. And check it out.
Yes, yes, we were going through the guide and we were just going, wow, there's so many things to want to see.
What's a must-see?
Yes.
Okay. But I would say first thing is pick up a guide, do a bit of planning, because from the guide, or even better, go to our website artweek.sg, check out the highlights, so there are recommendations or events by day. And for example, so you did a bit of planning. If you want to catch a few events, they are close proximity to each other. For example, then you can catch a show at the National Gallery, which has a big exhibition, a very important exhibition of work by Tang Dao, earthwork. And once you exit the gallery, if you walk around the Civic District area from the Asian Civilization Museum to the Fullerton area, you get to see public work displayed by 11 Asian and Singapore artists. Huge works, larger than life-size minor birds and so on. So those are the really highlights that you will not like to miss during Art Week.
Yeah, now we also asked the art professor Ute Bauer for her views on what the art scene in Singapore needs to grow in. Let's hear what she has to say.
I think it really needs the local embracement to say, oh, it draws attention globally. Maybe we should also take attention of this. Art is something that excites people. Art is something new. It's always changing, so you never know what you get to see. And I think that's the quality of art. It shakes us up, it confronts us with new thoughts, and we think, this is art, I thought it's something else. I think it's something we have to approach with curiosity, with excitement, and just go for it. And if we don't understand it at the beginning, that's completely okay. And people should not be afraid of they have to know it ahead of time. It's the opposite. You come and get curious.
So would you agree with what she said?
Oh, absolutely. I think Ute has made a very important point. I think for the audience, I think we are always, and it's good to keep an open mind. Because when you encounter art, you may not immediately connect with the work, right? And sometimes you're trying to figure out what the work is trying to say, what the artist is trying to communicate. But if we give ourselves a bit of time and space just to contemplate, a new experience may emerge. And then you will get a new perspective or a new feeling, and then you can decide whether you like the work or not. But that's not really important. But as Ute say, you can become curious, and then the artwork enriches your life actually. Yeah.
Eng Tiong, thank you very much. You're so excited. I'm so excited to go as well.
You come, passion.
Yes.
And if you want to know more about Steve McCurry, we saw some of his work, the iconic Afghan girl photo, and his adventures, head on down to our microsite for a web exclusive. The address is on your screen right now.
That's right. Just click on it and you get to watch the show or this interview as well if you want to catch up on it. So that's